In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies, as well as see if you can make any progress to the Penny Hunt and Fill album. Of course, we'll be looking for any wheat scents from 1958 or older, as well as looking for any proofs, foreigns, heirs or varieties, or any other interesting things we can find, as well as pulling aside any copper we get, seeing how much we can fill up the copper jar. Have checked both boxes for enders. We do have 1 ender per box. Box number 1 does have a wheat scent ender right there. Looks to be a 1957 Denver, which is awesome to see. And in box number 2, you do have a Canadian ender as well, so a couple of enders is definitely a good sign. So let's start the hunt on box number 1, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Just open roll 10. We're going to have the first wheat scent of the hunt besides the ender and a few rolls. It's right in the middle of the roll, right here. Wheat scent number 1 of the hunt. It's 1946 Philly. Just opened roll 12. We're going to have another wheat scent in this roll near the beginning of the roll, right here. This is wheat scent number 2, and it is 1953 Denver. Roll 15 was that wheat scent ender. I just opened the roll. Don't see anything else in there, but we do have the ender here. It's wheat scent number 3, and it is a 1957 Denver. Roll 19, and I bring you in because we have the first Canadian of the hunt. And I did already look at it. It is a bit of an older one. First, there is that coin, 2 coins behind the Canadian. I think looks like it could be an older one. And it is. It's wheat scent number 4, and it is from the 30s. 1939 out of Philly. Already have it, a pretty common one, but is from the 30s regardless. Definitely great to see. And the Canadian, I did already see the date. It is a 1962, which is a young head. Definitely awesome to see. 2 coins, great finds, a couple coins apart. That's awesome. Well, we're up to roll 38. The box went pretty cold for quite a while, but I do finally have another wheat scent. It's only number 5 for the box, but judging by the reverse, it looks like it's in pretty nice shape, which is good to see. Probably just going to be in the 50s, and it is 1956 Denver, but it is in pretty good shape. Roll 41. We don't have another wheat scent, but we do have kind of a cool miscellaneous find. Saw this coin, I did flip it over. We have one of those state counterstamp pennies. This one's a 1976 with the Vermont counterstamp on it. Have found a handful of these before. Not really worth anything, but they are pretty cool to find. Box number 1 has been hunted, and it was a bit of a slow box. Did only end up with 5 wheat sets for the box, which is about half what I like to see. Did get one from the 30s in 1939. That was definitely good to see. Handful of Canadians, including a 1962 Younghead. And a couple of miscellaneous finds. We did find that Vermont counterstamp penny, as well as a pretty nice 1960 small date. So, good variety of finds, pretty slow overall. So, now we're going to move on to box number 2, hoping we can get some more finds in this box. Roll 8, we have the first wheat scent of box number 2. Did just uncover it. It is a 1944, minted in Denver. Roll 10, just uncovered another wheat scent, so now we're up for 2 for box 2. This one is a last year, 1958 Denver. Roll 24. This box has been pretty cold, but we are finally going to have our third wheat scent for the box. And it is one we filled pretty recently, a 1947S. We recently filled this one. I think it was the last one we added to the album, and now we got another one. Pretty cool. That's definitely a great find. Roll 28, and I'm pretty excited. This box has been pretty slow. We have our 4th wheat scent in this roll, and I'm excited because it's going to be one for the album. Didn't see it when I opened the roll, but I just uncovered it. We have a 1916 wheat scent, 117 years old, and it's actually not too bad of shape for being from 1916. Still has pretty good detail on it, to be honest, and that's in pretty good shape. And we do not have a 1916 yet. Not a super rare year, 132 million minted, but it is one we haven't found yet. Those teens can be pretty tough to get. Super excited. We got one for the book, and it's an oldie. Let's go. Next roll. The box does seem to be heating up a little bit. We have another one in this roll. This is going to be the 5th wheat scent of the box. It's another 1944 Denver. Just opened roll 32. We're going to have wheat scent number 6 for the second box. See the reverse of it right here. First reverse facing one we can do a live reveal on. This one is another 1958 Denver. Same roll, and that roll actually had 2 wheat scents in it, so now we're up for 7 for the box. Definitely been heating up, which is awesome to see. It's yet another 1944D. Roll 39, just uncovered the 8th wheat cent in box number 2. It's another one we've already gotten a couple of already. Another 1958 Denver. Roll 48. This time we don't have another wheat cent, but we have a couple of different finds. First, there was this Canadian. I did look at the date. It's going to be another young head, the oldest Canadian in the box, 1959 young head. That's pretty cool. And I pulled this out first because it was actually sticking out of the roll a little bit. It's a new 2022 Denver, and if you can see, it's kind of off-center to the top left. There is some extra rim on this side, and on the reverse, it's the same thing, but I don't think this is an off-center strike. It's actually pretty obvious on the reverse. If you look at the rim, it's kind of sticking out a little bit. It's pretty hard to see, but especially right there in between my fingers, you can see it's kind of a diagonal line on the rim or something. I have found a couple of quarters like this. I think it's called a rotated partial collar error, I believe. And being on a new coin, I definitely think that this is definitely a mint error. I don't think it's a very valuable one. It's a pretty common one, but either way, it's a brand new coin. Pretty cool mint error with the rim like that. Either way, it's definitely a cool find. Both penny boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up with 11 1959s, 22 Esmonds, and only 18 2009s, very low on those. Canadians, we ended up with 14 for the hunt. We did get a couple of young heads, a 1962 and a 1959, which were definitely cool to find. A few miscellaneous finds as well. Did get two 1960 small dates, the one on the left is pretty nice. Did get that Vermont counter stamp penny, get the state ones once in a while, definitely cool to find. We also did get a mint error, which I don't find very many of. It's a 2022, I believe it's called a tilted partial collar error, where it looks off center and then the rim has kind of that diagonal line on it. As I said, I have found a couple of quarters like this before. Don't think they're very valuable. Definitely cool to find a mint error in the box. Now for wheat cents, they were pretty light for the hunt, only 5 in box 1 and 8 in box 2. But I'll take light wheat cents if we can get one for the album, which we did. 1916 out of Philly is going to be an addition, and that along with the 1939, we got 2 pre-40s, but definitely super happy about that 1916 being able to add to the album. Now for copper, as we almost always do, nearly filled the copper jar with 2 boxes, which I'll definitely take. That's a good amount of copper, what I usually get. So now I'm going to go through the finds. We know we have at least one addition, and we'll see how much album progress we make, and I'll bring you back with an update of the album. Just finished updating the album, and we knew we had that one addition, but we also ended up making 5 upgrades, so we had quite a bit of progress in this episode. Definitely the addition was my favorite find of the hunt, the 1916, 132 million minted, and I did look at the album. That was the last one we needed. That was over 100 million, so now all the rest of what we need are under 100 million minted. Besides the steel cents, of course, but I don't really expect to find those. Did have 2 more upgrades in the wheat cents. I upgraded the 1947S, which we actually added to the album an episode or 2 ago. This one just has better detail. It does have a little bit of gunk at the top, but it was just better. And then I also upgraded the 1956 Denver, slightly more red than the previous one. And then I upgraded 3 memorial cents as well. Upgraded the 1969 Philly. Not perfect, does have a spot on it, but for some reason I just find 69s are hard to get in nice shape. Then I also upgraded 2 on this last page. I upgraded the 1987 Denver and the 1999 Philly, just slight upgrades on those. But overall, definitely a good amount of progress for the episode. Even though the finds were light, we had some pretty good finds, and this was definitely a super fun 2-box penny hunt.